And thank you, Beth, so far for being so helpful and so forthcoming with your answers on the first part of this assessment. And I know that you've gone and seek treatment before, and you were telling me about like your history of anxiety and depression. And first off, I just want to tell you how admirable it is to want to come into a place like Beacon Health, like we're at now, and wanting to seek treatment on your own for some of the issues that we were talking about. And you talked about just kind of having a history of anxiety and depression. And what I want to do now is I'm going to start to ask you some very sensitive questions, personal questions about your background and your history. And, if at any moment you don't feel comfortable answering them at this time, just let me know, okay? And then we'll move on.
All right,
Okay.
no problem.
So you talked about initially some problems with anxiety and depression that you were diagnosed with when you seek treatment a couple of years ago. Let me ask you, what might be some triggers that kind of inflame your anxiety and/or depression?
I have some issues with my children. I'm the sole caregiver, and I don't receive any support. I'm the only one to care for my 3 children.
Okay.
They are ages 6, 3, and 1. Well, first of all, part of the problem is that I've been diagnosed with postpartum since the 1-year-old, but I do feel anxious about my children. My oldest is on a 504 plan at school.
Yeah.
He has a lot of issues at school with getting in trouble, being defiant. I get calls, and he's in the middle school system here, but it's just constantly a concern of mine that he is not behaving in school, and then I get these calls. And
it's one more thing to your plate, isn't it?
Yeah. And then, like, my 3-year-old is already in preschool, but is developmentally delayed as well. She finally is speaking in full sentences, which that's I'm relieved for that, but she's definitely behind the rest of her classmates. And so I have 2 kids and then the baby, and my mom helps me. She lives with me. She helps take care of me.
Thank God.
Yeah, but it's just a lot, and so I'm always worried about them and what's going on with them, and how am I going to be able to do my thing, work. I have to work to pay for them and maintain my household, and that causes me to feel very anxious. A lot.
Yeah. Well, it's very understandable. Very, very understandable. The next section that we needed to discuss was, have you had any type of abuse or trauma in your past that maybe you can connect to your anxiety?
My mom. I mean, I witnessed. My dad and mom fighting, and my dad was an alcoholic. So he died though. He died from liver failure, but before he died, he would definitely be verbally and sometimes physically abusive to my mother, and I saw that all the time.
It's like walking on eggshells, isn't it? Because you never know when he's going to have an episode of being angry or upset with you.
Well, that's very much what it was like. But I mean, I mean, I learned just to avoid, just go to my room. So,
Yeah. And it's actually
I can hang out in there and hide out in there.
And it's actually very common for children of alcoholics to experience generalized anxiety. So that might be an issue in your counseling that we might want to bring up with your therapist as well.
I mean, I definitely,
even though, the abuse and the trauma that you witnessed, maybe 35 years ago, it still has an impact in your life today.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. And I know that does impact how I am today. Definitely. I understand that. I have a background, like an educational background in early childhood education. So I do have somewhat of an understanding of that concept, and I've just never been able to really address it or resolve my anxiety issues.
That's a lot to take in for a child. Domestic violence, alcoholism. You never know how your dad's going to react, like when you come home from school or when he comes home from work. It's just, there's a lot of unknowns there.
Right.
Right. And then it kind of leads me to my next question. Do you have any history of substance use? Whether alcohol or drugs or.
I pretty much drink a lot, and I
okay.
Yeah, that's why. That's one of the issues that I have is with drinking.
Okay. Has any of that led you to have any legal troubles? Have you been in trouble with the law at all?
It's only for from my family history, I never drink and drive because I know what happens when you get a DUI. Like, I will never do that. But my legal troubles that I'm currently facing have to do with I have a problem with shopping, and I racked up some credit cards and was in debt. And I was at the time working at this residential center for elderly, and we managed their finances for them if they needed us to. That was part of what we did for our clients there. And I realized that I had access to clients' bank accounts, and it just started like pretty low dollar amounts at first, $20 here and there and no one really noticed. And I just felt like, well, it's like something that I could get away with, that I wouldn't get caught for, and it fed my shopping addiction. I shop online. I shop anytime I go to a store. I have to buy something. And I'm talking, clothes, shoes, toys for my kids, like shit I don't need, definitely, but I just have to buy. Just have to buy.
Do you see any connection between episodes of intense anxiety that you talk about experiencing, maybe a little depression, and these shopping sprees?
I definitely get relief from my anxiety. The rush I get from shopping gives me a break from that feeling of anxiety.
Okay.
And
then what I'm going to document too. So when you see a therapist in the next week, really what you want to work on is just coping strategies for when you feel like the overwhelm of trying to work on your finances, of having 3 kids, of mom helping, but you have most of the burden of all the household responsibilities.
Mhm.
You really want kind of those coping strategies to go to be able to not go to the shopping.
Right. I mean, that was my downfall. I mean, I vowed never to get in trouble with the law, and here I am, facing, I don't even know, felony charges. I don't even know. I've never had any experience with this, and it's very scary, and I'm very afraid that I'll end up in jail, and it's making my anxiety actually worse. So, I'm really spiraling.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And thank you so much again for being so forthright and open with your answers. When we're most open is when we can kind of be open to healing, and just very admirable for you to come in and really what I can just kind of offer today, as we finish this assessment is, stay in the present moment. Don't think about worst case scenarios. It'll all play out. We'll pray.
Yeah.
That it works out.
Yeah.
You're okay now, and your kids need you.
That's for sure. All right.
And next week we'll set up a time to start working on these anxiety coping strategies, and you're on the road to recovery. But the first step was to come in on your own, and it's very admirable. So thanks for coming in today, Beth.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
You're welcome.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.
All right.